Ever marveled at gardens that blend wild beauty with utter charm? Cottage gardens offer just that. They mix blooms in a way that feels carefree, yet every corner overflows with color, fragrance, and life. It's like nature wrote the design plan. Ready to bring this touch of old-fashioned magic home? With practical planting ideas, clever layout tips, and stories from backyard growers, you'll see how simple tweaks can make your own outdoor space burst with cottage charm. Let's get growing. Flower beds spilling over with blooms along twisting brick paths create a visual invitation. Come wander here. Cottage gardens thrive on this sense of abundance. Let plants intermingle. Foxgloves, lady's mantle, and roses blend freely. Some say it looks messy, but that's part of the magic. Pollinators love it too. Of course, managing that wild beauty can be a handful. Perennials may run riot, and bricks sometimes vanish under creeping time. But isn't there charm in a garden that feels a bit untamed? Add small seating nooks, and you'll want to linger as butterflies flit from petal to petal. Rustic wooden archways covered in climbing roses instantly set a welcoming tone. Who wouldn't be drawn in by their relaxed elegance? A wooden arch is affordable, straightforward to build, and ages beautifully. Pick easy care rose varieties like New Dawn or Eden for romantic, cascading blooms all summer. But there's a catch. Roses crave regular pruning and can be susceptible to mildew. Still, with a little attention, you'll have fragrant flowers and a structure that feels like it's out of a classic English painting. Even in small gardens, these arches add genuine charm and a touch of nostalgia. Neighbors often stop and ask, "How do you get your fence to look straight out of a storybook?" Truth is, the white picket fence isn't just aesthetic, it's practical. It keeps rabbits out while setting the stage for blush pink cosmos and lavender larkspur. Suddenly, passers-by slow down to admire. Yet, some gardeners gripe about constant fence maintenance, white paint chips quickly under weather, and stray soccer balls. Still, nothing beats the contrast of cheerful fence lines against gentle wildflower chaos. Think of it as a classic frame around living art, even if you need to haul out the paintbrush each spring. Imagine a weathered bench tucked beneath swaying branches, framed by lavender's soft purple mist. The subtle scent drifts on the breeze, inviting neighbors or you to linger with a book or cup of tea. This spot cries out for stolen quiet moments and laughter shared under gentle, dappled light. Of course, growing lavender in shade can be trickier, since it favors sunlight. Choose varieties like Munstead and prune nearby trees to offer afternoon sun. Don't aim for perfection. Even a few resilient plants will perfume your bench and spark envy from passersby. Sometimes, a little imperfection makes things even more charming. Strolling a stone footpath between thick borders feels like walking through a living mosaic. Each uneven stone shapes the path, while blooms nudge from both sides, foxgloves, lavender daisies, and perhaps a rogue snapdragon. Paths like these invite lingering, but beware. Muddy shoes and encroaching roots can make each step an adventure. Installing a stone footpath isn't as tricky as it sounds. Select flat stones, nestle them snugly in soil or gravel, and let plants spill over the edges. This wild look whispers home rather than museum. You'll swap neatness for charm, but isn't that half the magic of a cottage garden? Imagine the charm of pale pink climbing roses sprawling across a weathered stone wall. Their soft petals brighten any cottage garden, adding timeless beauty and a hint of romance. These roses thrive with morning sun and well-drained soil. Just prune them after flowering. They're stunning, but may need protection from aphids. Neighbors will slow down to admire a blooming wall. Some even say it sparks friendly conversations over the garden fence. Keep some gloves handy. Thorns are a small price for their show-stopping display. If fragrance and color matter to you, climbing roses truly fit the bill. Quit dreaming and start planning. Imagine a patio tucked alongside swaying foxgloves, lavender, and hardy geraniums. This setup doesn't demand perfection, just a patch of sun and a place to sit. The charm is in the jumble. Even sprawling stems look intentional among fragrant blooms and rustic paving stones. First-timers might find perennials a bit unruly, but that's half the fun. If you love wild, let them mingle. Worried about upkeep? Choose disease-resistant classics like catmint. Invite birds with hollyhocks. So pull up a faded chair, pour some tea, and savor your slice of England. Imagine walking through a wooden arched gate, tangled wisteria vines above dripping purple flowers like nature's own chandelier. This entrance feels friendly, but still a hint wild, encouraging visitors to slow down and look closer. Wisteria you'll find is hardy, but demands pruning. Otherwise, its roots may threaten nearby beds. Few sites match the romance of sunlight casting dappled shadows below cascades of blooms. Practical tip: install a sturdy gate. Wisteria can get heavy and even snap weaker arbors. With a bit of grit and patience, that lush, storybook look actually becomes achievable. Imperfection only adds to its gritty charm. Why do mixed herbaceous borders work so well beside red brick cottages? The lush greens and layered textures break up the rigid lines of masonry. Hardy perennials like lupins, foxgloves, and salvias thrive here, dazzling your senses. Even better, their blooms attract bees. Still, upkeep can get tangled fast. Tough truth, this style demands persistence. Deadhead spent flowers trim overgrown stems and weed regularly, or chaos reigns. Don't fear a little wildness, though. Nature's charm suits the informal edges. For quick impact, stagger heights and mix leaf shapes. Suddenly, the bricks feel less stern, almost friendly. Circular garden beds draw the eye and add harmony to any cottage garden, making your patchwork of blooms feel intentional. Edging with low greenery, think thyme or alyssum, creates a soft, finished look and keeps weeds at bay. Imagine guests glimpsing color peeking through neat, living borders. Curving shapes invite movement and make even a modest space feel lush. Still, circular beds can mean more weeding if you pick fast-spreading borders, so select compact growers where possible. Want low hassle? Use perennial herbs that double as kitchen treasures. Your garden becomes both pretty and practical. A winding cobblestone path bordered by towering hollyhocks immediately charms the eye. These old-fashioned blooms soar above, bursting in joyful shades. Children giggle, brushing petals as they dash. Paths invite visitors to linger, creating an alluring stroll, even if stray weeds sometimes sneak through ancient stones, adding an honest rustic touch. Why choose hollyhocks? Their height and color attract bees and butterflies, breathing life into the garden. If you struggle with limited space, plant hollyhocks at the back. Their upright stems hug boundaries without crowding. Remember, though, hollyhocks sometimes topple after heavy rain, so a subtle stake can be a gardener's best friend. Imagine strolling through a narrow passage bordered by exuberant blooms. Foxgloves, peonies, and delphiniums reach for sunlight, creating a living tapestry. Such a flower corridor feels plucked from a fairy tale, tempting anyone with a camera or strong sense of whimsy. Bees buzz, petals spill over, fragrance lingers. Who could resist? Designing this corridor isn't all sweet peas and sunshine. Crowded beds can invite mildew, while shading limits what plants thrive. Regular pruning helps keep chaos in check. Still, the result is a daily spectacle, a riot of color nestled between stone, offering endless joy and an irresistible hint of secret garden magic. Imagine a sun-dappled greenhouse nestled behind a sea of climbing old-world roses. The air carries a soft floral scent, mingled with earthy warmth. This setup creates a peaceful spot to daydream or potter with seedlings. Vintage roses add nostalgia and bold colors, but can demand patience. Thorny stems need regular pruning. Ever tried growing roses next to glass? The effect is charming, but you might battle mildew in humid corners. Use gravel paths for drainage and handpick faded blooms to keep things tidy. A greenhouse isn't just for tomatoes, it's for delight. Don't let the odd scratch or aphid deter you. A gravel path, bordered by vivid floral hedges, injects a playful spirit into any cottage garden. The crunchy texture underfoot adds rustic appeal, while blooming phlox, campanula, and foxgloves provide a riot of color. Maintenance is straightforward, though stray seeds sometimes sneak into the gravel, demanding a little vigilance. Some gardeners worry about weeds or tripping hazards in loose gravel. Avoid this by compacting the surface and using landscape fabric underneath. Select drought-tolerant flowers for longevity. In exchange, you gain a charming, low-cost walkway and borders buzzing with bees, proof that function and beauty can go hand in hand. Imagine stepping through an ivy-wrapped garden gate lit by a warm lantern glow. This simple feature turns your evening stroll into pure magic. Ivy softens sharp corners and offers privacy. The lantern adds both function and charm. Just be ready to prune regularly, or your gate may vanish beneath a leafy blanket. A glowing lantern above the gate also draws attention as a welcoming invitation to guests. Solar-powered options cut energy bills, while LEDs withstand weather. Still, ivy can creep into lamp fixtures, so choose sealed designs for less maintenance. Think of this scene as fairy tale meets practical gardener. Imagine winding your way down a pathway bursting with foxgloves, roses, and lavender. Every step rewards you with changing colors and scents, pure sensory delight. Cottage gardens favor unruly, lush growth over strict order. Does neatness matter when the view is this jaw-dropping? Some say it adds character, others might call it messy. Before planting to the rafters, mind maintenance. Roses demand pruning. Self-seeders like poppies can take over. Still, the wild tapestry lets wildlife flourish. Birds and bees join the scene, turning a border path into a living celebration. Consider inviting a bench, perfect for sipping tea and soaking it all in. Tiny stone garden chairs, scattered among wildflowers, look straight out of a storybook. Imagine sitting quietly, bees humming, surrounded by foxglove and daisies. Besides their charm, these seats double as lasting garden features. No wood rot, zero maintenance, just occasional clearing of overzealous vines trying to claim the chairs as their own. Adding these chairs helps create intimate corners for coffee or evening chats. On the flip side, stone can get toasty under summer sun or icy during winter. A small cushion fixes that in a snap. Why not give your garden its own secret haven? Your wildflowers and you deserve it. A blooming arch pergola makes your garden entrance feel like a storybook invitation. Sun-loving roses or fragrant clematis can turn ordinary wood into living art. This simple touch draws the eye, hinting at secrets beyond, while offering vertical interest too often missing in small outdoor spaces. Not all plants play nicely, though. Consider how much sunshine your arch gets. Morning glory climbs fast but can overwhelm. Roses need patience and pruning. Try grouping softer perennials at the pergola's feet. Guests love the tunnel feeling, kids even more. Suddenly, the everyday walk to your back lawn feels like an event. Wooden doors, weathered by time, add character that no factory-made entrance can. When framed by foxglove blooms, they become a living postcard. Foxglove's tall spires thrive in dappled light, making them low maintenance and perfect for hiding rough patches or old handles. Isn't imperfection sometimes the real cherry on top? Some will say old wood rots quickly. That's true if ignored. A coat of hemp oil or gentle sanding every spring keeps decay from marching in. Let petals scatter nearby. Nature is rarely neat, and that's the heartbeat of any proper cottage garden. Gardeners sometimes dismiss slim side yards, but with careful planting, these spaces blossom. Focus on layering. Stick tall foxgloves by a wall, add mounding geraniums in the middle, and tuck low-growing thyme along the path's edge. Suddenly, a typically lifeless side space bursts with color and fragrance. Getting bold with plant choices pays off here. Mix colors, don't play it safe. Use different leaf shapes and heights for interest. Worried about chaos? Choose a restrained palette or repeat a favorite bloom. The result can become a surprise jewel box of flowers, even in a sliver of a plot. English cottages brim with character, but it's the riot of florals at every window that truly stops people in their tracks. Picture foxgloves stretching up next to cheerful pansies, while window boxes burst with trailing lobelia. Even a simple row house can borrow this charm. Just add blooms that spill and overflow. It's not all roses and sunshine, though. Regular deadheading and a steady watering can are musts. Skipping these chores can turn frothy abundance into tired tangles. Still, with a bit of elbow grease, anyone can channel whimsical cottage style and bring the outside in. No thatched roof required. Tall, spiky delphiniums inject energy and drama, towering gracefully above humble stone walls. Their intense blues and purples turn any border into a painter's palette. Imagine wandering along a path and suddenly catching a glimpse. Those spires remind everyone that small gardens can make big statements, no matter the fencing. While delphiniums deliver show-stopping color, they can tilt without sturdy support. They crave rich soil and regular watering, but don't let that scare you off. Investing a little effort, maybe staking early or enriching the earth, rewards you with an old-fashioned scene straight out of an English fairy tale. A vintage garden sign instantly adds charm. Lean it near riotous planters spilling with marigolds and thyme for that lived-in look. Shabby paint tells its own tale. Maybe it's from grandma's porch or a flea market. Isn't it funny how a simple sign can spark so many memories? Mixing old signs with bursting planters can feel delightfully rebellious. Forget perfectly matched metals or pristine finish, invite age and imperfection. The sign's weathered edge may even shelter a snail or two. With such details, your garden isn't just pretty, it's packed with stories worth sharing. Imagine strolling down a walkway bordered with foxgloves, lavender, and wild roses, each step flanked by blooms and the air thick with fragrance. Overhead, a rough-hewn wooden pergola drapes with climbing clematis and wisteria. This isn't just a path, it's a living tunnel, charming guests and wildlife alike. Of course, there's upkeep. Petals litter the ground after storms, and fast-growing vines may tangle. Still, the beauty outweighs the hassle. Want this look? Start simply. Pick 2 easy climbers and hardy perennials, then let the rest unfold. Sometimes, a bit of organized chaos is gardening's best secret. Gravel in a courtyard cuts out the fuss of mowing, keeping things neat with little effort. Terracotta pots do more than just hold plants. They double as sculptural features. Imagine bursts of lavender or rosemary spilling over the edges, scent, color, and texture, all without fussing over borders. Not all plants thrive in containers, so research before splurging. Gravel's great for drainage, but it can get toasty under strong sun. Move pots around as needed. This setup works well in compact spaces, and changing up container groupings keeps things fresh. Why settle for a flat lawn when you could have this? Picture morning sunlight glinting off glossy green leaves as purple clematis blooms curl around crisp white columns. It's a simple trick, but it softens any porch's rigid edges in no time. Clematis is eager to climb, yet gentle, rarely overpowering. With decent soil and moderate watering, this show repeats every year. Maintenance is easy, just prune after flowering and give something to grip. For instant charm, mix a few clematis varieties for a long blooming season. Who decided columns must be naked and dull? Let nature paint your porch in color and skip the expensive renovations. Flagstone paths twist through cottage gardens, calling you to wander. These irregular stones settle into the earth, framed by foxgloves, daisies, and lavender. Pushing between the cracks, creeping thyme softens harsh lines and perfumes every step. It's a practical touch, no muddy shoes but never feels stiff or overly formal. Of course, flagstone paths aren't free of trouble. Weeds sneak up between stones, and the uneven surface sometimes trips the unobservant. Still, nothing beats the charm of half-hidden stones edged by a tumble of flowers. A little upkeep rewards you with a timeless, warmly chaotic invitation to explore. A floral archway set between rosebush hedges feels like stepping into a love story. It captures the eye, draws guests further, and instantly sets a charming mood. Try weaving scented honeysuckle or clematis alongside climbing roses. These tough plants add perfume, color, and drama with little fuss. Of course, maintaining a lush arch isn't always a walk in the park. Watch out for overgrowth and keep things tidy with regular trimming. Too much shade? Rethink placement. Roses demand sun. Despite the work, few features say storybook garden, quite like a blooming arch framed by roses. Ever tried mixing cheerful daisies with fragrant lavender and bold foxgloves? That deep cottage border becomes a living quilt, bright in spring and still buzzing in August. Each layer draws the eye, and there's always something fresh blooming. It's nature's calendar, unfolding outside your window. Maintenance can be tricky if you love a clipped look. Expect a wilder charm instead, flowers mingling together, bees bouncing between blooms. Water deeply in summer, snip faded stems for repeats, and let a little wildness triumph. That's part of a cottage garden story, beauty found in its slightly unruly spirit. Imagine sitting at a weathered wooden table, lanterns flickering gently as dusk falls. A garden nook like this draws you in with old-world charm. Wildflowers crowd the borders, scenting the air. It's a simple delight, great for relaxed afternoon tea or an impromptu chat with friends. Even if the table wobbles or lanterns need regular refilling, these quirks add personality. Don't chase perfection. Let moss and patina tell their stories. Place a worn blanket over a chair, and the space feels like home. Who says luxury has to mean shiny or new? Stone steps snaking through shade offer both charm and practical use. Imagine soft dappled light and lush ferns, hostas, or hellebores spilling greenery at your feet. These tough plants don't shy away from dim light, thriving even when the sun barely peeks through overhead leaves. Moss between stones adds surprise texture. While it looks magical, slippery steps may follow after rain, so choose stone with grip or regularly sweep the path. Don't forget, the right mix of plants turns gloomy corners into cool retreats, offering peace and even a touch of mystery on summer afternoons. Imagine strolling down a pathway where lavender stands proudly, offering fragrant bursts with every breeze. Chamomile hugs the edges, its cheerful blooms acting as a soft border. This pairing delights your senses and welcomes helpful insects, making maintenance easier. But be aware, both plants need plenty of sunlight to truly shine. Want something low fuss? This combo fits. Lavender shrugs off poor soils, and chamomile politely fills gaps without choking neighbors. However, ambitions of lush density may disappoint if shade lingers or soil drains poorly. A bit of planning brings that cottage daydream within reach. Think pink, and suddenly the scene feels plucked from a classic storybook. A fairy tale cottage garden leans into roses, peonies, and foxgloves, all jostling for sunlight and sugary shades. It's high-impact color with very little fuss, relying more on plant density than strict borders or formality. Some folks swear by these romantic blooms for pollinator appeal and easy maintenance. Yet, packing so many pinks together can feel a touch overwhelming, especially in small spaces. Balance is key. Add white or silvery foliage here and there, and you'll create a space that's dreamy and welcoming without ever tipping into chaos. Imagine a stone garden wall, clad in climbing roses, with moss gently overtaking the roof eaves above. Rainwater tickles petals as they spill over the edge, blurring the line between built and wild. This scene provides a comforting, old-world feeling that's hard for modern landscaping trends to replicate. But don't let the charm fool you. It demands occasional upkeep. Moss on tiles can lead to leaks, and overgrown climbers sometimes harbor pests. If you're ready for a little weekend elbow grease, the romantic effect and wildlife it attracts are well worth the small trade-offs. Nothing welcomes you like a painted iron gate flanked by foxgloves and tangled old roses. Are we romanticizing it? Absolutely, and that's half the thrill. A cottage garden path weaves through daisies and lavender, inviting butterflies, kids with dirty shoes, and the odd pruner-wielding gardener. Perfection? Hardly. Charm always trumps symmetry. This style looks informal, but it's actually a chess game with nature. Let plants sprawl, but give bold perennials their breathing room. Paths can get muddy, and plants might crowd the stones. That said, the riot of color and scent keeps you going out, season after season. A cottage garden doesn't just grow flowers, it grows memories. Imagine a patchwork quilt of blooms, scents, and buzzing bees just outside your back door. Even tiny spaces can thrive. Start with seeds, patience, and a dash of curiosity. Feeling ready? Grab inspiration from classic gardens, borrow plant pairings, or just try mixing colors. You don't need perfection. A bit of wildness works wonders. Why not let your green thumb write its story, petal by petal?